everyone, Effie here. Today I made this video using two of our new stamp sets from our Spring 2018 release. I use our Peony Duo and Peony Laurel stamp sets. So I'm going to do some embossing and some masking. I'll be embossing with our rose gold embossing powder. I started off by heat embossing the largest peony in our Peony Duo stamp set. After I rose gold embossed it on some watercolor paper, I'm using Canson XL 140-pound watercolor paper. After I embossed the large peony, I masked it off with a mask that I made using printer paper and temporary adhesive. I covered that large peony up with the mask, and then I rose gold embossed a smaller peony. Next, I covered that smaller peony up with its own mask, and then I rose gold heat embossed the Peony Laurel right over those two original peonies. After I stamped the laurel with Versamark ink, I also stamped additional leaves around my Peony Duo. Then I peeled off the two masks, and then I spooned on some rose gold embossing powder over the entire panel. Then I hit the whole panel with my heat tool, melting the embossing powder. And now I have this beautifully masked peony image. When you're doing this kind of intricate masking and embossing, you want to make sure that anytime you have your heat tool on your panel, you take your mask off. Otherwise, it's going to mess up that original embossing that you've already done. So let's get started with watercoloring. I'll be using my Ken Oliver color burst. For most of my panel today, I'll be using my fuchsia color burst. I'm using two Pentel fine tip ochre brushes, and I switch off between the two because I use one fine tip brush to apply the pigment. This is the brush that I actually dip into my Ken Oliver color burst pigment. My second fine tip brush, I generally keep this one clean, and I only use it really to blend out that color and to apply clean water to my painting area. So I'll be doing a wet on wet watercolor technique today. So really all that means is that you're applying pigment or paint to an already wet area. So before I apply any paint to my panel, I make sure to apply clean water to the area that I plan on painting first, and then I start dropping in color. This way I get a really nice blend with my color bursts. I use this technique for my entire panel today. After I color in most of the peonies, there are two smaller peonies that are intertwined in the Peony Laurel that I actually paint using my marigold color burst, because I didn't want to use the fuchsia color burst on all of the blossoms today, because then it'll kind of just all blend in together. So I wanted there to be a little bit more differentiation. For the leaves, I'll be using my sap green color burst. So I'm just going to turn on some music here as I color, and I'll be back once I finish painting. Once I finished painting, I set my panel aside to completely dry, and then I took the largest die from our double stitch rectangles large collection, and I die cut my panel to cut this into an A2 size panel with stitching on the edges. Then I took the sentiment from our new beautiful beta set. It's a small sentiment, and I thought that it would be a nice sentiment to add to my panel without taking away from the image. Next, I mounted my painted panel onto an A2 size top folding card base with some strong double-sided adhesive. Then lastly, I embellished my card using our clear rhinestones. These have no backing on it and they have a faceted edge, so they take on whatever color you adhere them onto, and they look like pretty dewdrops. So that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I also hope you'll stop by our blog today to help us celebrate our Spring 2018 release. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.